We're in Book 1, Canto 5, the Yoga of the King, the Yoga of the Spirit's Freedom and Greatness. And now we're seeing how high Ashwapati has already risen. So he's not any small death-hunted creature anymore. So we'll begin.
Sure. There was no small death-hunted creature born, no fragile form of being to preserve from an all-swallowing immensity.
Well, this is an interesting statement because um, when the divine descends into a human form, he is no longer a death hunted creature. And he doesn't have to preserve this fragile form because he's infinite. He's taken that fragile form to teach us how to rise into infinity. So he doesn't have to preserve this form from an all swallowing immensity because he is already that immensity. Okay, so
Right.
we'll carry on.
Okay. The great hammer beats of a pent-up world heart burst open the narrow dams that keep us safe against the forces of the universe.
So this is very, very interesting because he has two hyphenated words in this first line, pent up and world heart. And he has another one, hammer beats. He has three hyphenated words in one line. This is very rare. So, what is this world heart that is pent up in these great hammer beats? It's our life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going through all of that. But these hammer beats have burst open the narrow dams that keep us humans safe against the forces of the universe. See, he's above all that already.
Right.
And the next line tells us how much he's above that.
The soul and cosmos faced as equal powers.
So clear now, huh? See, Sri Aurobindo, when we're calm, when we read the lines carefully and slowly, suddenly everything falls perfectly into place. And so now we see that Ashwapati, Sri Aurobindo, is equal. His soul and cosmos are facing each other as equal powers. And now he's going to get very, very beautiful in his
Sure.
mystic and mantric words. A boundless being.
A boundless being, an immeasureless time, invaded nature with the infinite, saw unpacked, unwalled his titan scope.
Yeah, quite a bit to say about these three lines because he is now not only facing his soul, he's not only facing cosmos with his soul as equal powers, but he has become a boundless being in a measureless time. Just try to think of that intellectually. A boundless being in a measureless time. You can't even open your arms wide enough or your mind wide enough to understand that line. That he's a boundless being in a measureless time. And then what is he actually? He's what is he doing? He is invading nature with the infinite. because nature up until now has been working in the ignorance, experimenting with this and that, destroying this, creating this, and at the same time something new. But when he invades as the avatar, nature, capital N, nature, with the infinite, something changes, you see.
Mhm.
And we see that now his path, he's unpathed and unwalled. He sees this Titan scope. There's no reference to the capital T of Titan. It just means something of prodigious size or strength. So he's seeing unpathed, unwalled, his Titan scope. And now he's going to tell us more about that.
So Narad, sir, one question here. So I'm trying to understand what this Titan scope is. Is it to do with the work that he's supposed to do now that he's equal with the
Absolutely,
cosmos?
absolutely correct.
Oh,
Absolutely correct. Good, good.
all
Okay.
was uncovered to his seerless eye. I think that's a full stop, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's very clear. Everything's
Yes.
uncovered.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
he's seeing this unpath. He's seeing his Titan scope that has no path. In other words,
Mhm.
we're all traveling on a certain path. And this is
Mm.
not a negative statement, it's a positive statement.
Right. Right.
Although we're constrained and constricted to a certain path in life, family,
Mhm.
friends,
Mhm.
experiences, education, not him. He sees unpath, unwalled is Titan's, and therefore everything is uncovered to his sealless eye. In other words, his eye cannot be sealed. It's open, it can see everything. It's the eye of the divine.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. Now he's going to talk about the secret nature.
A secret nature stripped off her defense. Once in a dreaded half-life, formidable, overtaken in her mighty privacy, lay bare to the burning splendor of his will.
Oh, so nature doesn't have any more defense against him, huh? He can do what he wants with nature because nature was once pretty formidable in this dreaded half light, but he has overtaken her in her mighty privacy, and
Mm.
nature now lays bare to the burning splendor of his will. So this is so beautiful. We're seeing so much of Sri Aurobindo's autobiography.
Right, right.
Carry on.
In shadowy chambers lit by a strange sun, and opening hardly to hit mystic keys, her perilous arcanes and hooded powers confessed the advent of a mastering mind and bore the compulsion of a time-bound gaze.
Oh, a lot to look at here. Very much to look at. So the first thing we see that there's these shadowy chambers. They are lit by a strange sun, and they're hardly opening to these hid mystic keys. Hardly opening what? Are perilous means fraught with danger. Arcanes are secret or obscure things understood or known by very few.
Okay.
So we see that in these shadowy chambers that are lit by a strange sun, you see how we have to continue these lines. What have they done? They have confessed the advent of a mastering mind. When you confess something, you admit it as true.
Right.
And the advent, of course, in modern usage means the arrival of a mastering mind. And what else does he say then? He says, in addition to that, the end line, and bore, they had to bear this compulsion, this power to do something of a time born gaze. Now, he's time born because he decided to take birth into the human form. That's why he's time born. But he's already an avatar. We can see so much he's told us. So let's continue on a bit.
Incalculable in their wizard modes, immediate and invincible in the act, are secret strengths native to greater worlds, lifted above our needy, limited scope, the occult privilege of demigods, and the sure power pattern of her cryptic signs, her diagrams of geometric force, her potencies of marvel fraught design, courted employment by an earth nursed mind.
And its potencies, potencies,
Potencies.
her potencies, her
Potencies.
potencies of marvel fraught design.
Potencies of marvel fraught design.
Yes, you got it. This is very complex. This is above me, actually, quite a bit. So we see these wizard modes, and they're incalculable. You can't figure them out. Immediate and invincible in the act, our secret strengths are native to greater worlds, lifted way above our needy, limited scope, the occult privilege of demigods. So these demigods, these half gods, the occult privilege of these half gods, and the sure power pattern, hyphenated word, of her cryptic signs, secret, occult
Secret
signs,
signs.
cryptic, mysterious signs, her diagrams of geometric force, her potencies of marvel fraught design, courted employment by an earth nursed might. So, this is an interesting word here. This might of Ashwapati is employing all of these different things, these diagrams of Earth's geometric force, these potencies of her marvel fraught design.
Narad sir, what is this marvel throat design? I mean, it's becoming a little difficult for me to sort of visualize that piece.
Yeah,
Marvel throat.
that's why I say we have to go through it a bit carefully and slowly. So we're going to start again with incalculable in their wizard modes. So we can't understand them, we can't calculate them, can't understand them. Immediate and invincible in the act. So as they're invincible, they are incapable of being overcome or defeated. They're unconquerable. What are these things? They're her secret strengths that are native to greater worlds, and he's now seeing these greater worlds
Oh,
that are lifted above our needy limited scope, the occult privilege of demigods. So he's seeing all of these things, he's experiencing all of these things, he's in control of all of these things, and he's in control of the sure power pattern of her cryptic signs. Well, this power pattern, this is, first of all, cryptic is secret, mysterious. So there is a power pattern in all these designs of nature on Earth. There's her diagrams of geometric force, and we see those diagrams of geometric force constantly. We see them in the movement of the rivers, in the movement of this of the Earth around the sun. These great diagrams, the movement of all the planets in a very certain way. They don't go all over the place, they stay within their form. Huh? And so her potencies, her powers, her effectiveness, her strength of marvel fraught design, all these great designs that we see on the mountains, the gigantic are corded. Corded means um, here means that they are gained. They are in they are in favor with employment by an earth nursed might. This earth nursed might is Ashwapati Sri Aurobindo at his highest, and he is courting employment of all these things we just read about. These diagrams, geometric force, potencies, marvel fraught design. Everything is at his command. Everything is courted by him. When we court with someone, we we want to be close to them. We want to embrace them, to unite with them in certain ways. And Ashwapati is doing that.
okay.
Are you clear now? It's a
Yes,
difficult,
a lot of clarity came in my head. Yes.
very good. Okay. A
It
conscious,
is nature's quick machinery, armed with a latent splendor of miracle, prophet passion of a seeing mind.
well, again, many things to look at. This is Ashwapati at his highest experience, and he is. Let me go back. I had to go to the next page. All this quick machinery of conscious nature. I mean, nature is conscious in her way. I mean, she knows how to grow a tree. She knows how to flower a plant. And so, this conscious nature's quick machinery is actually armed. What he means by armed is in control of a latent splendor of miracle and the prophet passion of a seeing mind. That seeing mind is Sri Aurobindo Ashwapati. And the lightning bareness of a free soul force. Ashwapati has a free soul force now. And it's so bright, it's like a bareness of lightning. And now we're going to see what he can do with that power and that strength. And this is easier, much easier to understand. So please continue.
Sure. All once impossible deemed could now become a natural limit of possibility, a new domain of normalcy supreme.
So, things that seem to be impossible. When you deem something, you judge it. You think of it. So everything that was thought to be impossible could now become a natural limb of possibility, a new domain of supreme normalcy in his consciousness and in his power. Now he's going to tell us in a vaster sense what this divine presence can do. And we have to begin. An almighty.
Sure. An almighty occultist wrecks in space the seeming outward world which tricks the sense. He weaves his hidden threads of consciousness. He builds bodies for his shapeless energy. Out of the unformed and vacant vast, he has made this so- sorcery of solid images. His magic of formative number and design, the fixed irrational link none can annul. This crisscross tangle of invisible laws, his ineffable rules,
So is
his
infallible.
infallible, infallible.
Infallible, incapable of error,
Oh,
incapable of failure.
got you. His infallible rules, his covered processes achieve unerringly an inexplicable creation where our error carves dead frames of knowledge for a living ignorance.
So now it's a long sentence, but what we have to do is go back to the first line, which,
Uh-huh.
and then we'll begin to understand it much better. And
Sure.
that is that it's this almighty occultist, the divine,
Uh-huh.
who erects in space, in this space, this seeming, look at the word seeming, not this outward world, but this seeming outward world, which tricks the sense. Because this outward world is not at all the way we see it. I see you and you see me as two different people. We have different fixtures, but we're both the divine. We're both the divine within. So we're living in a seeming outward world with tricks, which tricks the sense. And so this almighty occultist weaves his hidden threads of consciousness, and he even builds bodies for his shapeless energy. And out of the unformed and vacant vast, what has he done? He has made his sorcery of solid images. Sorcerers. So he's created this incredibly looking animal, the giraffe. He's created this hippopotamus. His sorcery of solid images, his magic of formative number and design. Formative means here shaping, fashioning.
Got it.
So he has a fashioning number and design, and even fixed irrational links that nobody could annul. No one could break them down
Hmm.
because they're irrational. They're not endowed with reason. There's no reason behind them. They're fixed irrational links that none can annul. And it's a crisscross tangle also of all these invisible laws that seem to be governing our world. In the West, in Christianity, they would say the Ten Commandments are the laws of existence. And then the divine occultists, infallible rules, incapable of error, his covered processes, what do? They achieve unerringly an inexplicable creation. But our error carves dead frames of knowledge for a living ignorance. We mess it up.
Yes.
Now it's almost 5, so you have to read the whole thing.
Sure, sure.
I'll give you the extra time tonight. I have time.
There was no small, death hunted creature more, no fragile form of being to preserve from an all swallowing immensity. The great hammer beams of a pent up world heart burst open the narrow dams that keep us safe against the forces of the universe. The soul and cosmos faced as equal powers, a boundless being in a measureless time invaded nature with the infinite. He saw unpathed, unwalled, his titan scope. All was uncovered to his seerless eye. A secret nature stripped off her defense. Once in a dreaded half flight, formidable, overtaken in her mighty privacy, lay bare to the burning splendor of his will. In shadowy chambers, lit by a strange sun, and opening hard to hid mystic keys, her perilous, arcane, and hooded powers confessed the advent of a mastering mind and bore the compulsion of a time born gaze. Incalculable in their wizard modes, immediate and invincible in the act, her secret strengths native to greater worlds, lifted above our needy limited scope, the occult privilege of demigods, and the sure power patterns of her cryptic signs, her diagrams of geometric force, her potencies of marvel fraught design, ported employment, and earth nursed might, a conscious nature's quick machinery, armed with a latent splendor of miracle, prophet passion of a seeing mind, and the lightning bareness of a free soul force. All once impossible deemed would now become a natural level of possibility, a new domain of normalcy supreme. An almighty occultist erects in space this seeming outward world which tricks the senses, beneath his hidden threads of consciousness. He builds bodies for his shapeless energy out of the unformed and vacant vast he has made. His sorcery of solid images, his magic of formative number and design, the fixed irrational links none can unearth, this crisscross tangle of invisible laws, his infallible rules, his thorough processes achieve unerringly an inexplicable creation that our error hearts dead frames of knowledge for a living ignorance.
Ah, very good. Very good.
You made it
So,
an analogy for me. Without the meaning, nothing comes to my mind. I try reading it without your help, and nothing comes to me. So thank you very much.
you're welcome. Namaste. See you
Namaste.
next. See you
Sure,
next week.
Namaste. Yeah, namaste.
Love to all.